very period in National Assembly. And a good example is NILS, the National Legislative Institute, which have taken much number of years before, up to this moment, it's not yet completed. And another one is by the gate. As you are coming in, you see the quotas, which up to now have not been delivered. And my prayer is that as we start this project, every kobo will be utilized. And I'm asking for value for money, and we will charge all our committee members to ensure that whatever amount that is released, there should be a commercial value as to what is on ground. Thank you very much. May God Almighty help us, and may the infinite mercy of God be upon this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we approach the main purpose of our being here today, I'd like the protocol officers to His Excellency to please arrange the podium, the cameramen to reposition themselves to capture His Excellency, the President of the Senate, as he gives his remarks. Please, may we rise as we welcome to the podium His Excellency, the President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is also Chairman of the National Assembly, Distinguished Senator Ahmad Ibrahim Lawan, CON.
Please be seated. Thank you. The Right Honorable Speaker, my brother and friend, Honorable Femi Bajaba Mila, very well and ably represented here by the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy President of the Senate, the Senate Leader, and the Deputy House Leader, very distinguished and honored members of the House, the Chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission and the Honorable Commissioners of the Commission, the Clerk to the National Assembly, and top management of the National Assembly. Let me also rest on the existing protocol, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press. Let me start by thanking Almighty God for sparing our lives to witness this very important, historic and memorable occasion. Today is a very important day for us and for democracy. We all recall how this arm of government, the legislature, has been so disadvantaged because of its suspension and non-existence in the past. In our checkered history, the executive and the judiciary have had full life right from independence, in fact, even before independence. And there is little wonder, therefore, that they have their infrastructure in place. They have well-trained manpower in place. That is not the story about the legislature in Nigeria, as we all know. The legislature has had very checkered and difficult history. 3-4 years in existence, 10 years and more of non-existence. And this is the first time ever that we have the longest life of the legislature in Nigeria, been in existence for over 20 years today. There is little wonder, therefore, that we are still undertaking what ordinarily should be basic infrastructural development for the legislature. This project, the National Assembly Service Commission Permanent Office Complex, should have been in existence not 20 years ago. It should have been in existence maybe more than 60 years ago, when Nigeria became independent, at least. But better late than never. We all know that this is where democracy lies here in the National Assembly and in the legislature across the country. And therefore, no amount of investment into funding this very important, and I dare say most important institution of democracy, any amount that we spend in building the National Assembly complex, the National Assembly Service Commission, the NILS, and associated institutions of the legislature in the National Assembly are worth the while. And for us in the 9th National Assembly, I want to congratulate the leadership as well as the membership for having another first. We have recorded so many firsts in this 9th National Assembly in terms of legislation and projects. When we came in 2019, we saw the necessity, the need to rehabilitate the National Assembly complex. And those who have been working in this National Assembly complex and those who have been members of the National Assembly since 1999 know that this is a project that is necessary, that this National Assembly complex needs rehabilitation. But of course, this arm of government is the most misunderstood. And people who are not properly informed and the mischief makers decided to go to town to say, well, the National Assembly is going to spend money on national rehabilitation of National Assembly, which is not even necessary. We have been proven right. National Assembly complex has been leaking, and it is at this point that I want to talk the right message to the Federal Ministry, the FCT, and the FCDA to immediately conclude all the procedures and processes for awarding the contract for the rehabilitation of the National Assembly complex. The time cannot be better. We have lost so much time. And I want to assure the National Assembly members and staff that we will do everything possible to ensure that the National Assembly complex is rehabilitated before we take our exit by the grace of God. Coming back to the National Assembly Service Complex that we are talking about today, and of course, going to commission the construction. I want to say that this didn't take us long to appreciate the necessity. Of course, the chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission said we gave 3 billion. Yes, that was a starting point. And I want to say here that we will continue to be committed to giving more funds for the construction of this National Assembly Service Commission. The leadership and membership of the National Assembly are totally committed to ensuring that this legislative arm of government is given the kind of support that it deserves for us to have a legislature that will be effective and efficient in delivering its service and mandate. Let me add here that the National Assembly Service Commission is that institution of the legislature that ensures that the right quality of staff are recruited, that ensures training and retraining and appointment of top management into the National Assembly management for service delivery to members of the National Assembly. Most of us are not here as professionals. We are here to represent people, and therefore we need the kind of support that the National Assembly Service Commission staff will deliver to us. And what will make us do well, effectively and efficiently, will be to have National Assembly staff who are well trained and well motivated. We'll support the commission to have staff that will be well motivated for us to get the benefits of their services. Let me also say here, I think the contractor or someone else who spoke before him spoke one language I didn't understand, but I will make effort to make some comments on that. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters, distinguished Senator Ibrahim Shekarau, said his committee and that of the House will be supervising, oversighting the construction of this very important, magnificent complex. We, as leaders, will also be part of that inspection and oversight, because it's so critical to us that we'll team up and give the kind of support that our committees need. For the contractor, it is value for money, like the Deputy Speaker said, and value for money. There will be no variation, so don't waste your time. You better kickstart and maintain the momentum to ensure that we complete this project within its life time. If it is, how many months? How many months is it supposed to last? 24. Well, 24 months, so by 18 months, we would have seen the level of completion. So let's not waste time, because the tendency has always been contractors to come back and say, well, they didn't understand this, now they have seen it. So they need a variation. There will be no variation, because you have exhausted all the processes and the procedures as professionals, whether it was soil test, to test the strength or the character of the soil, what, you have finished that one. It's not now you start talking about it, because when you start to mention it now, it's like trying to prepare our minds that something will come up. Don't bring it. You are supposed to have known that very, very well ab initio. So, but I want to assure you, Mr. Contractor, that this National Assembly will ensure that we give the kind of funding that will keep you working and working non-stop by the grace of God. Lastly, I want to commend members of the National Assembly who have given all the necessary support to the leadership of the 9th National Assembly for everything to work and fall in place like it has today. And of course, we are in it together, that at the end of our tenure in 2023, by the grace of God, we want to hold our heads high to say that we have undertaken all the necessary measures. We have approved and supported all the necessary projects within the National Assembly complex. We want NILS completed this year by the grace of God, or early part of next year. Just like the Deputy Speaker said, the project NILS has been in existence for a long time. The other project, I don't know how it happened. The maybe houses of the presiding officers at the gate, I think it shouldn't have been there. Should have been in a more secured place. But I think the National Assembly should complete that project and maybe see whether it could still be habited by presiding officers who are coming, because we have already been given our rented accommodations, and I'm sure having paid for the number of years will be, maybe we'll ensure that we exhaust the rent. But what is important is to complete the structures there. But what is important is for all those things, the rehabilitation of the National Assembly complex, this National Assembly Service Commission building complex, and of course NILS. I don't know if there is any other one, but these three projects will keep our eyes on them to ensure that we complete them, or where uncompleted should be at least at the level of 90% completion level, by the grace of God. The chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission was asking about 10 billion. I don't know whether that is correct or not. But I want to assure you that we will do something that will keep this project on, and nothing will stop it by the grace of God. I want to wish the contractor every possible well wishes that you are able to do what is right, that the management of the National Assembly will also be looking out for, if there is any need for us to get better staff or more staff, we should be doing that, because at the end of the day, what this structure will mean to us is improvement in the standard quality of the staff that will work in the National Assembly and with the members of the National Assembly, because that's the essence. It's not to provide a beautiful, luxurious, cozy office for the chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission and his commissioners. What we want is that complex that will churn in, recruit, train, and retrain staff that will give us services to make us better members of the National Assembly and more productive, effective, and efficient. Thank you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Another round of applause for His Excellency, the President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for the very, very promising and instructive presentations on this historic event. Your Excellencies, distinguished senators, members, and other invited guests, to anchor the concluding part of this historic event, I have the permission of the distinguished senators and members to once again invite, to hand over the microphone, the chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission to coordinate, anchor indeed.
Excellencies, Excellencies, distinguished senators, members of the House of Representatives here present, will now move into the construction site to lay the foundation of this magnificent project. After laying the block, we'll come out to unveil the foundation laying stone and quickly inspect the model of the project. While we move on, we'll appreciate that everybody wears his kits. We are providing personal protection equipment to every person who is following us into the construction area. That is why I made the initial introduction of safety.
And we're restricting, not all.
And not everybody, please, let's just allow the dignitaries to move on. Just the dignitaries, please. Where's my kit? No.
His Excellency, the President of the Senate, will lead the team, accompanied by the Deputy President of the Senate. The Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives will follow. The Leader of the Senate, distinguished senators, honorable members. The rest of us may stay behind. The rest of us, social distancing is still there, please. We may slow down a bit as we wait for the chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission puts on his kits to join His Excellency, the President of the Senate, Deputy President of the Senate, Deputy Speaker, Leader of the Senate, distinguished senators, members. First, the rest of us, social distancing is still there, please. The rest of us may stay behind or may join us through the projector that we have here. It's beaming live, actually. Test, 1, 2. Test, test. call for that kind of thing?
No, they're supposed to be listening now, both of them.
Oh, very good.
By one, the project.
Okay, turn on.
I'll just invite him so that he will now do that. One, I think. People are streaming. Let's put our hands together for the Senate President. He has laid the foundation, laying the block over there. That's the Senate President with a plumb, being assisted by the Executive Chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission. Please, let's put our hands together for a job well done by His Excellency, the President of the Senate. The Deputy Senate President is doing a great job. Let's put our hands together. Okay, the Deputy Speaker representing the Speaker, House of Representatives. We have there His Excellency, Right Honorable Ahmed Idris Wase, plumping the block. Please put your hands together for His Excellency, the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives. They are walking towards the unveiling of the foundation.
We'll work on that, you know.
The unveiling.
National Assembly Service Commission Permanent Office Complex. This foundation stone was laid by me, Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, PhD CON, President of the Senate, Chairman, National Assembly, and Right Honorable Femi Bajaba Mila, Speaker, House of Representatives. Today, Wednesday, 20th October 2021, to the glory of God and benefit of Nigerians and the democracy in this country and everywhere in the world. Thank you.
His Excellency will have a look at the prototype of the building that is already placed under the canopy. The chairman of the National Assembly will be leading His Excellency to have a look at the prototype of this historic After taking a look at the prototype, we'll quickly take the national anthem that will be the concluding part of this historic event. Thank you very much. As we remain standing, the national anthem, please. The national anthem. Thank you, Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Executive Chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission, Engineer Ahmed Kadi Amshi, fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers, would like to thank everyone for being part of this historic event, and we wish you God's journey mercies. Thank you. We sincerely appreciate the leadership of the Senate, the leadership of the House of Representatives, the honorable commissioners, the secretary to the National Assembly, and secretaries from the National Assembly. We recognize your presence and appreciate you for being part of this program.
To elevate the landscape on which the project is built. Metaphorically, the 6 pillars representing each of the major districts of Nigeria is supported by the very earth of the nation. This architecture provides a common public platform through which all of the building's inhabitants and visitors can interact while overlooking the fine landscape towards Aso Rock. This building aims to support and promote the local culture and arts of Nigeria. Towards this end, we have made subtle references to the vernacular architecture of the region through the small punched openings in the facade. We have clad the building in printed graphical elements to reveal the rich cultural heritage of Nigeria in relation to the 6 districts represented by the commissioners. The central atrium that is formed by the arrangement of the 6 pillars is a grand open triple height space. It is appropriate to the grand civic function of the building. In its center lies a large reflection pool that increases the sense of volume in the space. The 6 pillars represent each of the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, which are represented by the commissioners. The 6 pillars provide generous waiting rooms and reception areas, with commissioner staff accommodation, as well as a private suite for the commissioner and his or her personal staff. There is a private stair leading between the commissioner's level and the supporting areas. The central boardroom is suspended in the central atrium space. It can be provided with auditorium seating or as a setting for formal roundtable discussion. The project uses a simple one-way vehicular driveway system to allow an efficient parking layout. The 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria provide the starting point and design reference for the landscape context. Whilst the location of the NASC headquarters is within the 3-arm zone of the city of Abuja, the building and its occupants represent the geopolitical zones of all of Nigeria, and as such, the landscape of the development must be representative of the unity between all of the regions of Nigeria. The architectural design concept was inspired by the notion of supporting the democratic process in Nigeria by making the internal workings of the government clear, open, and transparent. At the same time, it was the intention to provide a building befitting the stately function of the National Assembly Service Commission, a building that would maintain the sense of grandeur and scale established by other surrounding pieces of architecture. The site lies immediately to the east of the National Assembly, within the 3-arm zone central area of Abuja. The landscape interfaces with areas of forest as well as the National Assembly buildings and its associated infrastructure, and acts as a transition point between the developed and natural landscape. One of the primary context elements is Aso Rock. Whilst not physically adjacent to the site, the rock is an element which influences their location. The design seeks to draw this element into the site. Another key driver in the design was the building's relationship to the landscape. Seeking to minimize our disruption of the natural landscape, vegetation, flora and fauna, we have sought to elevate the landscape on which the project is built, to the roof level. Metaphorically, the 6 pillars representing each of the major districts of Nigeria is supported by the very earth of the nation. This architecture provides a common public platform through which all of the building's inhabitants and visitors can interact while overlooking the fine landscape towards Aso Rock. This building aims to support and promote the local culture and arts of Nigeria. Towards this end, we have made subtle references to the vernacular architecture of the region through the small punched openings in the facade. We have clad the building in printed graphical elements to reveal the rich cultural heritage of Nigeria in relation to the 6 districts represented by the commissioners. The central atrium that is formed by the arrangement of the 6 pillars is a grand open triple-height space. It is appropriate to the grand civic function of the building. In its center lies a large reflection pool that increases the sense of volume in the space. The 6 pillars represent each of the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, which are represented by the commissioners. The 6 pillars provide generous waiting rooms and reception areas, with commissioner staff accommodation, as well as a private suite for the Commissioner and his or her personal staff. There is a private stair leading between the Commissioner's level and the supporting areas. The central boardroom is suspended in the central atrium space. It can be provided with auditorium seating or as a setting for formal roundtable discussion. The project uses a simple one-way vehicular driveway system to allow an efficient parking layout. The 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria provide the starting point and design reference for the landscape context. Whilst the location of the NASC headquarters is within the 3-arm zone of the city of Abuja, the building and its occupants represent the geopolitical zones of all of Nigeria, and as such, the landscape of the development must be representative of the unity between all of the regions of Nigeria. The architectural design concept was inspired by the notion of supporting the democratic process in Nigeria by making the internal workings of the government clear, open, and transparent. At the same time, it was the intention to provide a building befitting the stately function of the National Assembly Service Commission, a building that would maintain the sense of grandeur and scale established by other surrounding pieces of architecture. The site lies immediately to the east of the National Assembly, within the 3-arm zone, central area of Abuja. The landscape interfaces with areas of forest as well as the National Assembly buildings and its associated infrastructure, and acts as a transition point between the developed and natural landscape. One of the primary context elements is Aso Rock. Whilst not physically adjacent to the site, the rock is an element which influences their location. The design seeks to draw this element into the site. Another key driver in the design was the building's relationship to the landscape. Seeking to minimize our disruption of the natural landscape, vegetation, flora, and fauna, we have sought to elevate the landscape on which the project is built.